Hello everyone. I'm not sure what time of day you'll be watching this video, so good morning, good afternoon. I'm Andrew Watson. I'm an irrigation farmer, irrigation dryland farmer at Boggabri, downstream of where you are. We grow multiple crops: cotton, corn, durum wheat, canola, mustard, sorghum, chickpeas, in rotation to suit the agronomic outcomes that work best in rotation. So understand I'm speaking to the willy concept of water in the landscape in the high reaches of the upper Namoi. We're a beneficiary of that in so much as we pick up water, one through the river system that's collected at Keepit Dam in times of plenty, and then we're released to irrigate for us down the river, down the Namoi River, so we can irrigate when it's drier, grow crops. And two, from sort of groundwater, which I guess has recharge over millennia, but hopefully we're using that at a sustainable rate where the recharge is equal to the extraction. So I certainly understand that we are a beneficiary of sorts. So in terms of irrigation, someone once said that there were all these mud huts along the river and people were growing a bit of corn and making their own huts till someone got a bucket and watered some corn and then could feed 5 of those families in those huts. So the third guy became a brick maker, the next guy became a clothes maker, and hence society was born. Having just been to Sydney with 4 million people living in a concrete jungle, high yielding and irrigation crops are needed to feed Australia and the world. 93% of Australian vegetables are grown under irrigation, so irrigation needs to be part of the mix. So that's my concept there. So water management as a topic, I find that irrigation from our point of view is water is collected in times of plenty, as I said earlier, and then we use it in times when it's dry to increase the yields of crops we may grow, or even grow crops where we couldn't grow crops. The Namoi Valley is an example. The consumptive use, as modelled by Water New South Wales in over 10-year periods, is about 16%. And if you take out town and industry and mining take, agriculture probably accounts for 14% of the water take on average. I guess my question for society is that too much or too little? I think that's the big question, not whether we should use it on this crop or that crop. Land management. So I'm no expert in swales and leaky weirs and everything. I've certainly been to visit the Malone Institute at Canberra and seen some of the research going on, but my view on land management is, originally before humans, this was probably a much greater treed environment in the upper reaches. There would be a lot more grass cover, and so the water would have flowed out a lot more slowly. There would have been development then all through the 1900s, probably taking trees out and farming and contouring, and farming would have been ploughing, which would have created a lot more runoff and probably erosion. So my question then is, what is the trend towards zero-till farming in the farming sector, and as well as a shift to sort of much better ground cover grazing systems? Has that then rebalanced that to some degree? I would argue that European high-speed tillage machines, which have become all the vogue in recent times, are a terrible idea for Australian soils and Australian climate. I understand the European system is they grow crops for a much longer time through the year than us because of their climate, and they have a very limited time to turn that country back around to plant again, so they need to be able to high speed in a simple pass prepare the seedbed, but they're also operating in a much more wetter and humid environment with more rainfall or more consistent rainfall, and so they're not saying what we see in Australia is you can do your tillage and then a week or two later we've had a whole lot of hot, dry winds and all your topsoils ended up downstream, upstream or somewhere else, either through water and wind erosion. So I really disagree with the use of those machines except in specific circumstances. When I look at the towns and communities as part of the concept of what water take is I think towns and communities need to understand we do live in a very ephemeral area. It gets very, very dry, and just as I know with my business, in the middle of the drought, we had to cut cloth pretty hard. We reduced staff hours. We didn't pay ourselves for 18 months. I think society needs to realise we do live in times when we do get significant droughts, but we need to make sure we safeguard people's health. So the systems and the ideas and pipelines that have certainly been proposed are really terrific ideas. So I support concepts like looking at piping the Manning in times of excess back over the hill for Tamworth's water supply as an example. Boggabri, and we live on bore water supply, and we survive there. So probably healthy water supplies is important for people. The third point I'd like to make comment on is I really find that current water policy across the state and federal governments is dictated by the lens of people who are sitting on the North Shore. It's all about turning our river systems into drains to get water to Adelaide at the federal level, because that's where they need seats if you're looking from the Labor perspective. And seemingly we've got a state government who's trying to enforce similar stuff. So it does end up being the irrigators who are the ones in the firing line here. But on that concept, I guess, the regulations we face, if we were to try things like leaky weirs, etc. around this region, I'd be in court. We're so much in the crosshairs of the regulators that any stuff slowing water down is perceived to be taking water. So when you look through the lens of an irrigator, it's pretty scary, some of that regulation we face. So I would like to see some better understanding at the policy and regulation level of what water in the landscape looks like. So that's probably about the limit of what my knowledge. I'm not sure if I've contributed much. I do know that I've been all around the world looking at water efficiency projects, but also water policy. And while I deride some of the current outcomes of what water policy is in Australia, I've seen American policy and it's way, way worse. I've seen Moroccan policy in the Dra Valley and the dams and the hydroelectric dams in the Atlas Mountains. I've been through water policy discussions in Germany, Canada and New Zealand. Our policies are good. So water is allocated when it is available, when it is in excess, and while it is used sometimes when it's drier, water is not taken from the environment when it's dry. So the current water policies do manage drought quite well. So when it's dry, I don't get water allocated to me. So that's kind of in defence of irrigators in some method, but certainly in defence of the underlying system at the moment, I think it does deal with water quite well. But listen, good luck with the rest of the conference. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. We just have harvest and many things going on here on the farm. Thank you very much.